I took the fall for my brother and spent 3 years in prison. I accidentally saved the son of the richest man while in prison. The richest man gave me 100 million yuan as a thank you gift. Right after I got out of prison, I called my dad first thing. I wanted to share this great news with him, but the second my dad heard my voice, he hung up right away. My heart sank instantly. I thought something bad had happened to my family. I rushed back home immediately, but right when I got to the door, I heard voices coming from inside the house. It was my sister-in-law, Lin, speaking impatiently. Just because we rushed to get the property ownership transferred, I missed my prenatal checkup. When he gets back, make him go rent a place outside. I'm not living with an ex-con. Sigh. I'm doing this for your own good, you know. After all, he paid for this house. Listening to their conversation, my hand that was about to knock froze midair. My fingertips were shaking uncontrollably. I've long gotten used to my parents favoring my brother, but my brother was always super clingy with me growing up. I even went to prison to take the fall for him. There's no way he'd be this heartless too, right? I took a deep breath and knocked on the door anyway. The voices inside stopped abruptly. Mom looked shocked when she opened the door and saw me. She avoided my gaze and patted me on the shoulder. Shaolin, why are you back already? Your dad just said he was going to pick you up. Listening to her fake concern, I felt a chill run through my heart. If I hadn't been standing outside the door and heard their conversation just now, I might have stupidly believed her. But now looking at her hypocritical face, my stomach just churned. It's fine, taking a taxi is super convenient now. The second I stepped into the house, my sister-in-law gave me a disgusted look. She grabbed a bottle of sanitizer and walked straight over to me and sprayed it all over me like crazy. Don't take it the wrong way. I'm just getting rid of the bad luck on you. I tugged at the corner of my mouth and gave a self-deprecating smile. She thinks I'm gross just because I'm an ex-con, but she probably forgot. I went to prison for her and my brother. I didn't say a word and walked straight towards my bedroom, but I had only taken 2 steps up the stairs when my dad grabbed me hard by the arm. Don't even look, there's no room for you here. He had a cigarette between his fingers, and the ashtray next to the sofa was already full of fresh cigarette butts. It looked like my arrival had really annoyed him. Dad, I only spent 3 years in prison. I didn't die, right? How come I don't even deserve a bedroom here? My brother won't agree with this either, will he? Right at that moment, my brother came out of the bathroom. He looked at me with a troubled expression. Bro, we have so many people in this family, and only a few bedrooms. There's not enough space for everyone. Looking at my brother's troubled face, my heart completely went cold. I let out 2 cold laughs. We had enough space before. I was only gone for 3 years in prison. How come there's no space now? What right do you have to kick me out anyway? Don't forget I paid for this house in full. After hearing what I said, he slapped me hard across the face. He pointed a finger right at me. You think you're so great just because you bought a house. Did you come back home? Or did you come here to collect a debt? Am I the one asking for the house back? You're the ones who won't even let me have a single bedroom. My dad was furious, his face twisted with anger. He made it clear he was kicking me out. Let me tell you something. There is no room for you in this house. If you need a place to stay, go rent one yourself. We don't owe you anything. I froze on the spot, shaking all over with anger. All sorts of emotions were churning in my chest. We don't owe you anything. How rich? Who was it that cried and begged me to take the fall back then? And who said I was the biggest hero of this family? All I want now is my own bedroom back. Is that too much to ask? I still remember back then my parents cried and begged me, saying my brother got into a top university. He had a bright future ahead of him, and it couldn't be ruined by a car accident. They also said when I got out of prison, the whole family would repay me properly. I didn't want any repayment at all. I just felt bad for my parents and cared about my brother. That's why I took the fall for him. To save my brother from getting in trouble, I lost my job, sold my car, and used up all my savings. But I never could have imagined that what waited for me wasn't warmer family love. It was total outright betrayal and a huge blow to me. Right now, I'm just trying to get my own room back. But my whole family's teaming up to kick me out. Tears were streaming down my face silently, but I bit down so hard on my teeth. I refused to make a fool of myself. Bro, these 3 years you were in prison? It wasn't easy for us either, you know. Now you want to move back home again. Who knows how bad people will make fun of us? Why can't you think about us for once? I yanked my hand out of his grip violently. I pointed my finger straight at him hard. My gaze was ice cold, piercing right through him. Shengtang, don't you forget. You're the one who deserved to go to prison. You're the one who brought shame to this whole family. You've been reaping all the benefits of what I did for you. And you stole my house out from under me. And you still have the nerve to say I don't care about you. After I said that, my little brother's face instantly turned sour as hell. I already said thank you to you, didn't I? What more do you want from me? As my older brother, isn't this what you're supposed to do for me? My brother's careless, dismissive attitude cut me deep. Mom and Dad started jumping to my brother's defense, too. The older brother is like a second father, you know? You do one little thing for your brother and you want to brag about it. Why are you being so petty? Shaolin, you're not a kid anymore. Even if you move out on your own, renting a place is totally reasonable, right? They all took turns yelling at me. Every single word felt like a sharp knife. Stabbing right into my heart, I tilted my head back and closed my eyes, forcing my tears back as hard as I could. A bitter, hopeless smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. No wonder in the 3 years I was locked up, none of you ever came to visit me even once. You just thought I was an embarrassment, that's all. Fine. Starting today, I'm cutting all ties with you people. Don't you dare regret this later. I stormed out of the house without looking back after saying that. I left that cold, heartless house quietly. I wandered the streets alone for ages. I finally found a hotel to stay at temporarily. I paid a lot to consult a lawyer online. The house I paid for in full is under my parents' names, so I asked if I could get it back. The lawyer said, as long as I can prove I was the actual buyer of the property, like showing documents from when I bought it, payment receipts, property management proofs, stuff like that, I can get the house back. I've always had a habit of keeping all my documents organized, so I had all that stuff saved perfectly. To get my house back, I hired that lawyer to handle this whole thing on my behalf with full authority. After I handed everything over, I lay down on the bed, staring at the 9-digit balance on my phone screen. I fell deep in thought. I was going to make my whole family regret the choice they made today. The next day, I went straight to the sales office of the villa community. They were running a promotion, so I spent a full 100 million yuan right then and there. Bought 10 fully furnished villas paid in full. I keep one for myself to live in, and rent out the other 9. Just from the rent of those 9 villas alone, I have more money than I can spend every single month. A month later, I got a phone call from my dad. Shenglin, are you out of your damn mind? You're actually suing us. Figures, you were an ex-con after all. You've got all kinds of dirty tricks, and you're such a cold-hearted bastard. Even through the phone, I could practically picture my dad. With his face twisted purple with rage, I gave a faint, sarcastic smile and said, well, you guys taught me everything I know, right? I'm taking this house back. Not because I need it. It's because I don't want a bunch of ungrateful leeches living in it. I ignored Mom and Dad screaming their heads off on the other end. Hung up right after I said that. I just put my phone away when I heard someone knocking on my front door. I went to answer it and found a super hot, gorgeous girl standing outside. Hi, landlord. I'm the tenant of Villa Number 2. My name is Xu Wanwan. I sort of recognized this girl. I remembered she was the first person to rent a villa from me. The whole process went super smoothly back then. She signed the lease right on the spot. I lifted my eyes casually. My expression was totally calm. Is something wrong? Xu Wanwan tucked a strand of hair behind her ear gently. Her cheeks were a little pink. Her eyes were full of pleading. I'm throwing a housewarming party tonight. All my friends want to meet the crazy rich landlord who bought 10 villas all at once. Would you come and join us? I stood there frozen. I couldn't react for a second. Seeing that, Xu Wanwan stepped forward quickly and tugged lightly at my sleeve with her fingertips. Her voice trembled and softened a bit. Hey, landlord. Please, I'm begging you. I told them I'm really close to you. Can you just do me this favor? After that, she pressed her palms together, tilted her head slightly, and looked at me. I've always caved to soft pleas, not tough demands. With her pestering me like this, the tiny bit of hesitation I had vanished instantly. Finally, I sighed softly and gave in. Fine. I'll come over tonight. Hearing this, Xu Wanwan's eyes lit up immediately. Hopped away happily. 7 p.m. that night. I headed to Xu Wanwan's place as promised. But right as I was about to walk in, a familiar voice came from behind me. Shenglin, you actually followed us all the way here. I looked toward where the voice came from. It was my younger brother Sheng Teng and his wife Xiaolin. The second he saw me, his face dropped instantly. His eyes filled with disgust. Xu Wanwan walked over. looking at me and my sister-in-law confusedly. Do you two know each other? Wanwan, this guy is my husband's ex-con brother. He does nothing all day long and only thinks about how to steal our house. As soon as she finished speaking, everyone's eyes turned to me all at once, filled with contempt, curiosity, and mockery, crashing down on me overwhelmingly. Listening to her twisting the facts like that, I clenched my fists. A cold rage bubbled up in my chest. I stared coldly at my sister-in-law, like she was a total clown making a fool of herself. First, I have zero interest in following you guys. Second, I only went to jail to take the fall for your husband. Third, you call me a dirty ex-con and look down on me. But you're still squatting in my house, refusing to leave. I want to ask, who's the shameless one here? Every word I said cut like a knife. So everyone's gaze toward my sister-in-law changed to all sorts of weird expressions, feeling all the different looks people were giving her. My sister-in-law frowned and said guiltily, Shenglin, cut the crap right now. That house clearly belongs to Sheng Tung. What does it have to do with you? Anyways, the lawyer's letter has already been sent home. I hope you're this stubborn when we're in court. Brother, I know you just got out of prison and have nowhere to stay. But that's the room we saved for our baby. We're family after all. Do you really have to make this so ugly? I stared at him coldly, my heart growing colder the more I listened. I really couldn't understand. The little kid that used to follow me around calling me brother turned into the person he is now. When you kicked me out of my own house and threw me out back then, why didn't you say we were family? When your wife publicly insulted and shamed me just now, why didn't you say we were family then? Xiaolin saw everyone around looking at us, and instead of feeling guilty, she got even more arrogant, looking down at me from her high horse, her tone full of contempt. Shenglin, this villa was bought by a super rich landlord. You don't want to cause trouble here, do you? My sister-in-law spoke loudly, her tone full of arrogance. Like she was the mistress of this villa, and I was just a random rat that snuck in. Hearing what she said, everyone present started jeering and mocking me contemptuously. Just then, Xu Wanwan stepped in front of me, frowned slightly. Shelin, is there some kind of misunderstanding between you two? What misunderstanding? There's no misunderstanding. Shenglin, I suggest you get the hell out of here right now. That super rich landlord is going to be here any minute. If you piss him off, you won't even know what hit you. Led by my sister-in-law, everyone lashed out at me with no mercy, and in that moment, I finally saw their disgusting true colors clearly. Xu Wanwan, who had been confused this whole time, listened to what my sister-in-law said. Her face got paler and paler. She couldn't take it anymore. Stepped sharply in front of me again, shaking all over with anger. Xiaolin, shut your mouth. Mr. Shenglin is the guest I invited. You have no right to slander him like this. You guys are not welcome here. Leave right now. My sister-in-law shoved Xu Wanwan away hard, walked up to us arrogantly with her head held high, a look of pure contempt on her face. I rushed to hold her up. My heart felt really heavy. My own family that I trusted the most put me down, but Xu Wanwan was willing to stand up for me. Who do you think you are to make us leave? You're not that super rich landlord. Besides, he's the one who should get out. Yeah, Wanwan. Did you get scammed or something? We're warning you out of kindness, you know? Watch out for some deadbeat clinging to you. Xu Wanwan glared furiously at her brother and sister-in-law. Her chest heaved with rage. You two are the ones who should get out. Shenglin is the super rich landlord you mentioned, who bought 10 villas all at once. What? Xu Wanwan didn't speak very loudly, but in the dead silent hall, it hit like a heavy sledgehammer, right on everyone's chest. The noisy jeering died down instantly. It felt like the air froze right then. All that was left was the heavy breathing from everyone's total shock. The sneer on Xiaolin's face hadn't faded yet. It just froze at the corner of her mouth. Her eyes went wide, staring daggers at me. Her body trembled slightly in utter disbelief. She could never ever link the guy in front of her, in the cheap suit, who just got out of prison, to the super rich guy who splurged 100 million to buy 10 villas. Wanwan, are you kidding me? How could he be the landlord? He doesn't even have a place to live. He's a total broke loser. Sheng Tung, who was standing off to the side, his face was paler than a sheet of paper. It was like all the strength was drained out of him. The hand that was supporting Xiaolin dropped limply. He knows me way too well, and I know him just as well. He didn't see anger in my eyes, just the coldness you'd give a total stranger. That coldness filled him with a fear he'd never felt before. He didn't see anger in my eyes, just the cold indifference you'd show a stranger. That indifference filled him with unprecedented terror. We have a kid too. Bro. What on earth is going on here? Where'd you get all that money? I ignored his question completely. I just stood there quietly, feeling all the originally contemptuous gazes around me turn into awe, curiosity, and awkwardness. This feeling was so weird. The social status that comes with money was perfectly tangible at this moment. I looked at this pair of relatives I once gave everything to protect. I felt no joy from getting revenge, just endless sadness. Xu Wanwan quickly picked up on the icy atmosphere. She didn't back down. She stepped forward instead, right next to me. Her movement was very subtle, but it was like she was declaring her stance to everyone there. Sengteng Xialin. I signed the contract with Mr. Sheng personally. Since you don't respect my honored guest, you are not welcome here. Please leave immediately. Don't wait for security to show up. Leave right now. Don't make us call security. Xiaolin opened her mouth, like she wanted to throw a fit. But when she met Xu Wanwan's icy gaze and the pointing stares from the people around her, her last bit of bravado died out. She clung embarrassedly to her designer bag, the one she bought with money I gave her. Now it was the most ironic accessory ever. Shengteng hung his head, didn't dare look at me again, dragged the dazed Xiaolin under everyone's watchful eyes, scurried out of the villa gate with their tails between their legs. The automatic hall door slowly closed, locking those two greedy souls outside in the dark. Music started playing again at the party, but everyone's gaze towards me had changed. I knew this was just the start. The apartment they stole from me, the dignity they trampled on, I'm gonna take every last bit of it back. Kicked out of the villa, Xiaolin and Shengteng didn't reflect at all. Instead, they hid in their shabby rented apartment, gnashing their teeth at their phone screen. Xiaolin scrolled through Xu Wanwan's WeChat moments. Jealousy twisted her face. She couldn't accept that the ex-con she once walked all over had suddenly become a super rich guy. Why does that loser who went to jail get to live in a villa? That money must be dirty. He probably did some sketchy stuff. When he was in prison, babe, he even hired a lawyer now. I don't think we can keep that apartment. We can't keep it if I can't have it. He's not gonna have it easy either. He cares about his reputation, right? I'll ruin it completely. See if he still dares to stay in that villa community. Xiaolin typed furiously on her keyboard, a post full of lies. That stirred up drama appeared on the screen. Xiaolin typed rapidly on the keyboard, a post distorting facts and inciting. Emotion-stirring words were clearly spelled out there. In her version of the story, I was portrayed as a heartless fiend after my release, who not only tried to seize my elderly parents' retirement home, but also violently threatened my little brother's whole family in just a few hours. This post titled "In Search of the Lost Conscience." Ex-con older brother tries to drive. Whole family to death went viral on local forums. Netizens who didn't know the truth left all kinds of abusive comments. The things they said were so vicious, it made my blood run cold. I was sitting in my spacious study, flipping through property documents handed over by my lawyer, when my phone suddenly started vibrating like crazy. Tons of unknown numbers were calling me. Every time I picked up, all I heard was harsh cursing. I hung up the call, staring at the private message notifications popping up nonstop on the screen. A cold sneer curled at the corner of my mouth. This cheap cyberbullying trick, compared to what I went through in prison, is literally nothing. Xu Wanwan was holding a tablet in her hand. Her face looked even worse than it did last night. She rushed straight over to me, pointing at the trending list that kept climbing higher on the screen. Her voice was clearly laced with anxiety and unease. Brother Sheng, look at this. Xiaolin and the others are actually doing a live stream online playing the victim. Right now, everyone is cursing you out. Some people are even doxing to find your exact address. That's expected. Besides these cheap tricks, they don't have any other skills. On the screen, Xiaolin was wiping tears in front of the camera. Shengteng was next to her, sighing with his head down. They looked like they'd suffered so much injustice and were now homeless. The comments in the live stream were scrolling super fast. All of them were foul insults directed at me. Some even yelled that they'd come find me in person. On screen, Xiaolin was sobbing her eyes out to the camera. Guys, you have no idea. We've worked so hard to keep this home for 3 years, and now he's back trying to kick us out. We have a kid too. How can he be so cruel? This family is so shameless. Brother Sheng, you have to clear your name. Otherwise, your reputation will be totally ruined. Let them stay up on their high horse for a bit. No rush to clear things up. Let them put on their show for a bit first. The higher they climb, the harder they fall. The comments online didn't affect my mood at all. Instead, I was surprisingly, almost eerily calm. I called my lawyer. My tone was steady, but carried an undeniable authority.
Lawyer Zhang, have you collected all the evidence online?
Including the accounts that spread malicious rumors. Don't worry, Mr. Sheng. All the defamatory comments and copyright violations have already been notarized. As soon as you give the order, they'll not only have to pay compensation, but also face criminal charges. Looking at that fake face in the live stream, the last tiny bit of hope I had for family affection completely vanished into thin air. Since they chose to use this method to cut ties completely, then I'll give them a big gift in return. I turned off the tablet and walked over to the huge floor-to-ceiling window, looking at the calm lake outside. The online storm was still going strong, but in my eyes, this is just the prelude to their own demise. You heartless bastard! Public opinion online spread like a plague. It even caught the attention of the neighbors who were originally walking around the villa area. They gathered in small groups, pointing at my house and whispering. Their eyes were full of scrutiny and doubt. Right at that moment, my parents actually showed up, led by Sheng Tung, looking furious and ready to pick a fight. They were carrying a beat-up loudspeaker, looking like they planned to stay here forever. Shenglin, get out here right now. You ungrateful son! You live in such a big house, and you make your own father rent a place to live. Do you even have a conscience? My mom sat on the ground wiping her tears, slapping her thigh. Everyone, come look. My oldest son came back from prison and turned cold. He won't even recognize his own mother now, and he even wants to sue us. Is there any justice in this world? I opened the door and walked outside, watching this ridiculous farce below the steps. The neighbors' murmurs got even louder, but my heart was strangely calm. I even felt a little relieved. I opened the door and walked outside, watching this ridiculous farce below the steps. The neighbors' murmurs got even louder, but my heart was strangely calm. I even felt a little relieved. Mom, Dad, I gave you a chance. I bought that apartment in full. I never said you couldn't live there. You were the ones who tried to kick me out first. The apartment is under my name, so it's mine. You're rich now. You should buy a bigger house for us to live in, and you owe your younger brother an apology. I stared at his greedy face, then turned to look at Sheng Tung hiding behind. He was recording with his phone, obviously planning to post this clip online, to gain more sympathy. Did you record everything clearly? The more evidence you have, the faster the judge will make the ruling later. Sheng Tung's hand trembled a little. A flicker of guilt crossed his eyes, but he quickly puffed out his chest, putting on a look of righteous indignation, and kept acting for his phone camera. My parents made a fuss for a while, and were finally forced to leave by property security guards. The living room went quiet again. I sat on the sofa, looking at all the abusive comments flooding my phone. While going over the details the lawyer told me in my head, Xu Wanwan knocked and came in, holding a bowl of steaming hot noodles. Her eyes were full of worry, as if she was afraid the rumors would break me completely. I looked at this voice message. Brother Sheng, have something to eat first. Don't take those nasty comments outside to heart. The truth will come out sooner or later. Thanks, Wanwan. I'm not that fragile. The years I spent in prison were way harder than this. I ate the noodles slowly. Xu Wanwan sat across from me, watching me quietly. Her unconditional trust, at this moment full of malice, felt especially precious. But your parents don't seem to be ready to give up. They might come make trouble again tomorrow. Are you really not going to release the evidence? Let them make all the fuss they want. The more aggressive they are, The easier it is to charge them with disorderly conduct and defamation legally, I'm in no rush to fight back. I'm waiting for the right opportunity, one that will make all the lies completely melt away under the sun and leave the abusers with nowhere to hide. Moonlight from the window spilled into the living room, shining on those cold legal documents. I picked up the pen, and on the last power of attorney, I signed my name. On this long night, I didn't feel angry. I felt a sense of clarity I'd never had before. I knew justice for me was on its way, and those greedy people will eventually pay for what they've done. The online abuse had reached a fever pitch. Shilin watched the view count in her live stream, keep rising and the screen full of tips. She was grinning from ear to ear. In her eyes, those weren't hateful comments. They were cold hard cash. Shengteng sat next to her, though there was still a hint of unease in his eyes, but tempted by money and vanity. His last bit of conscience had long disappeared. Babe, look quick. Everyone is calling Shenglin that ex-con. Once his reputation is completely ruined, we'll get the media to pressure him. Those 10 villas will be ours sooner or later. Honey, we posted his old prison admission notice online. What if he fights back and says I took the blame for him? What will we do then? Fight back with what? All the evidence is long gone. Besides, we have mom and dad backing us up. Who would believe an ex-con? At the same time, in the study of Villa number 2, I was quietly watching the live stream, and Xiaolin's distorted face on the screen. Xu Wanwan stood behind me, clutching her tablet tightly, so angry she was breathing heavily. Brother Sheng, they're going too far. How can they even make up lies like this? Are we really not going to clear this up now? No rush. Let them stay up on their high horse for a bit. The higher they climb, the harder they fall. I looked at the dark night sky outside the window. I felt completely calm inside. This mindless carnival is just the last glow before the storm hits. Early the next morning, we're even now, and blocked the villa entrance in a big group. They set up all kinds of cameras, scared they'd miss any moment that could get them more views. My mom sat at the front gate, slapping her thighs and wailing loudly. Her voice was shrill and unpleasant, drawing all the nearby neighbors to stop and watch. Everyone judged for us. My oldest son turned into a monster after he got out of prison. He's trying to kick his own parents out and steal his little brother's property. He's trying to force us old folks to die. The reporters were like sharks that smelled blood, pushing forward like crazy, their microphones almost poking my mom's face. Xiaolin was standing nearby, pretending to be weak and delicate, and handed over tissues every now and then, but her eyes kept darting towards the inside of the villa from time to time. I pushed open the main door and walked out. The sunlight was a little too harsh on my eyes. The moment they saw me show up, the crowd erupted instantly. Waves of insults and questions came crashing at me all at once. Have you all had enough of this nonsense? Shaolin, you finally dare to come out, huh? You heartless bastard! Right in front of all these reporters. Do you dare take out the property deed and show it to everyone? Shengteng hid at the back of the crowd, too scared to look me in the eye. I looked at these so-called family members of mine, desperately playing the victim role in front of the cameras, and I just felt a wave of nausea hit me. I will take out the property deed, but not right now. I'd also like all reporter friends here to be my witnesses, to see when the whole truth comes out later. Who the hell is actually lying? The atmosphere at the scene turned eerily quiet in an instant. My mom's sobs stopped abruptly. She stared at me blankly, with a faint, barely noticeable flash of panic in her eyes. Facing Xiaolin's shouting and the reporters' cameras, I didn't rush to defend myself. Instead, I reached into the inner pocket of my suit and pulled out a neat stack of photocopies. These papers looked extra glaring under the sunlight. They were records from 3 years ago when I bought the house. Bank statements and transfer receipts. I casually handed the copies to the reporter standing right at the front. When he saw the amount and the payer's name clearly, his expression went from excited to shocked in a split second. Reporters around all crowded over to take a look. Camera shutters kept clicking one after another. I paid off the full house price in 3 installments 3 years ago, totaling 4.2 million yuan. Every single payment was transferred from my personal account. My mom, who was throwing a tantrum on the ground just now, stopped crying all of a sudden. She stared blankly at those papers, then looked behind her at Sheng Tung for help. Sheng Tung's face went deathly pale, and he subconsciously shrank back into the crowd. So what? The property deed has Mom and Dad's names on it. That was you being filial, it's a gift. There's no way you can take it back now. The reporters started whispering among themselves. The public opinion seemed to be shifting subtly. I looked at Xiaolin forcing an arrogant front, and I just found it utterly ridiculous. She thinks the law only cares about that one property deed, but she has no clue that the complete evidence chain is enough to crush her little fantasy. Song Yu. Lawyer Zhang, please tell this lady. The legal difference between this kind of nominee holding, behavior and illegal possession. Lawyer Zhang, standing nearby, pushed his glasses up and opened his file folder. His professional and cold aura made the noisy scene go quiet in an instant. The confrontation outside the door was still going on, but I already turned around and went back to the living room. Xu Wanwan handed me a cup of warm water. Her hand was still trembling slightly. She was obviously scared by how crazy those people were just now. Brother Sheng, they still won't leave. That Xiaolin seems to be calling more people over on the phone. I picked up my phone and opened the private message Sheng Tung sent me. Stressed out by what just happened at the door, this little brother who's been hiding behind a woman finally couldn't sit still any longer. His messages were full of humble begging and deep fear. Bro, I'm begging you, please. Put those bank records away, okay? If the company finds out I stole this house from you, my whole life is over. I looked at this voice message and didn't reply. People like Sheng Tung only remember I'm their brother when their own interests are damaged. I turned off my phone, and my gaze fell outside the window, on my parents who were playing the victim for the cameras. For their younger son's future. They didn't hesitate to sacrifice 3 years of their older son's life. Now for their younger son's house. They're trying to nail their older son to the pillar of shame completely. To them, family love is nothing but a bargaining chip they can cash in any time. Outside the window, Xiaolin seemed to have gotten another call. Her face suddenly turned deathly pale. She looked terrified towards the second floor of the villa. Her phone almost slipped out of her hand. I knew the second batch of legal warnings from lawyer Zhang had already reached her phone. The mastermind behind this online violence finally started to feel the cold weight of the law. Just as Xiaolin was about to scream at the top of her lungs to make a new round of accusations, a black Rolls-Royce with a consecutive number license plate slowly stopped at the edge of the crowd. The appearance of this car made the originally noisy scene go completely quiet instantly. Even the most aggressive self-media influencers subconsciously put down the gimbals in their hands. The car door opened. A young man wearing a high-end custom suit, with a powerful aura, stepped out. He ignored the shocked stares around him and walked straight up to me on the steps. Under everyone's disbelieving gazes, he gave me a hug. Brother Sheng, I heard you ran into trouble after getting out of prison. Is there anything I can help you with? Young Master Lin, it's just a small family matter. Why did you even bother coming? This young man was Lin Cheng, the only son of the richest Lin family. 3 years ago in prison, I was the one who saved his life. His appearance was like an invisible slap across the face of every loudmouth at the scene. Young Master Lin from the Lin Group. That's impossible. Brother Sheng is an ex-con. How could he possibly know you? Ex-con? Mr. Sheng went to jail to save someone, and even more, to take the blame for those cowards who don't have the guts to own up to their actions. The case files of the car crashed 3 years ago. I've already sent lawyers to retrieve them. The truth will come out very soon. At the mention of the word truth, Sheng Tung, hiding behind the crowd, went weak at the knees and collapsed straight onto the ground. The thing he feared the most had finally happened. The involvement of the richest Lin family meant the lies he'd carefully built his whole life were about to be completely torn apart. As dawn arrived, the reporters outside quickly shifted their focus. They stopped asking why I kicked my parents out and started frantically digging up suspicious points of the 3-year-old car crash. The center of the storm immediately shifted to Sheng Tung. In the living room, the top legal team Lin Cheng brought had taken over all public relations work. Xu Wanwan was busy serving tea and water on the side. Looking at this sudden strong backup, the worry in her eyes finally faded and was replaced by admiration. Brother Sheng, you were so stupid back then. It's not worth it for family like this. I always thought family meant everything back then. Now I've seen through it all, I actually feel relieved. Right at that moment, my phone rang. It was my dad calling. This time, there was no more of his previous arrogance and swearing in his voice, only a humble, tearful tone of begging. Xiaolin, please tell young Master Lin to stop. If Shengteng gets arrested, our family is completely finished. He's your own biological brother. You can't just watch him get destroyed. Dad, I served 3 years in prison for him. We're even now. The road ahead, he has to walk it on his own. I hung up the phone and immediately blocked the number. Outside the window, Shengteng was cornered by several reporters with nowhere to run. His once smug, superior face was now filled with despair. I watched the farce outside the window, while thinking about my next move. Taking back that apartment is just the start. I need to make them understand. The dignity and family love they trampled on were never chips they could waste as they pleased. Lin Cheng's intervention was like a depth charge that completely shattered the Sheng family's last shred of dignity. When the news that Shengteng was taken by police to assist with the investigation got back, my parents, who had been hoping to make money from cyberbullying, completely lost their minds. This time they didn't bring any reporters, nor did they bring any loudspeakers. Instead, they looked like two soulless puppets, supporting each other as they showed up at my study door. Dad's hand, which used to always point at my nose and yell at me, was shaking violently right now. His voice was hoarse, with a trembling note almost like begging. Xiaolin, please, I'm begging you. On young Master Lin's side, all you have to do is say one word, and what happened back then will be wiped clean. Your brother, he has a kid, you know? He can't go to prison. I looked at the new wrinkles on his forehead and felt not a single bit of pity. The experiences of these past days had worn away, all the warmth I had for this family. My mom suddenly dropped to her knees on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Xiaolin, Mom will give you whatever you want, as long as you spare your brother. We don't want that apartment anymore. We'll move out. We'll go back to our hometown to farm, okay? That apartment was mine to begin with. As for Shengteng, the law will give him a fairer ruling. Not me. My mom's crying in the quiet study sounded especially harsh. I closed my eyes. I thought of the version of myself before I went to prison, full of passion and drive. Back then, I thought protecting my family was my duty. I never knew this obsessive love would eventually become the shackles that locked me up for 3 years. After Shengteng was taken away, Shilin completely tore off her hypocritical mask. She knew the game was up. She was actually planning to act before the court's forced enforcement. She would turn all the valuable stuff in the house into cash and take all of it away. The sofa was slashed open. Half of the expensive light fixtures had been taken apart. Even the decorative paintings on the wall were roughly torn down by her. She was like a panicked hyena, trying to grab one last bite before losing its territory. I don't care how much those used furniture sell for, just get whatever we can. And that refrigerator, too. We have to move it away this afternoon. Just when she was busy moving the belongings, Lawyer Zhang arrived at the door with several uniformed court staff members. Looking at the mess all over the room, Lawyer Zhang frowned deeply. Miss Zia, according to the court's preservation order, all fixed renovations and auxiliary facilities in this property are within the scope of preservation. Your current act is suspected of intentional property damage. Shellen rushed over like a madwoman, waving a pair of scissors in her hand. Get out of my way. This is my husband's house. Why should that ex-con Shenglin take it away? I'd rather destroy it than leave a single brick or tile for him. The staff quickly stepped forward to stop her. Xiaolin slumped onto the dusty floor, staring at the belongings she didn't have time to move away, and let out a desperate scream. I stood in the shade downstairs of the old house, watching all the once familiar items being sealed up one by one. This used to be the home I bought after years of hard work. It carried all my fantasies about the future. But now, seeing it destroyed by Xiaolin with her own hands, I actually feel an unprecedented sense of relief in my heart. If some things aren't completely broken, a new life can never really start. The court's seal has been affixed. Shaylin was taken away for investigation on suspicion of property damage. The originally noisy corridor had fallen deathly silent at this moment. Only my elderly parents looked like they'd lost their souls, slumped on the cold steps. I looked at the anti-theft door I picked out myself back then. Its paint had already peeled off, just like the crumbling family bonds in this family. Dad looked up. His cloudy eyes no longer had the usual dignity. Only endless grief and resentment left. His voice was hoarse, trembling slightly. Xiaolin, are you really going to drive us to a dead end? Your brother is suffering inside, and you're here taking back the house. Did the dog really eat your conscience? Dad, conscience. I wore it off completely in prison 3 years ago. I will renovate this house. But starting from today, none of you are allowed to step inside even once. When my mom heard this, she was about to slap her legs and wail again, but was held up by a pair of gentle but firm hands. No one knew when Xu Wanwan had shown up at the end of the corridor. She was wearing a neat professional suit, holding several legal documents in her hand. She nodded politely at my parents, but her tone left no room for argument. Uncle, Auntie, I am Mr. Sheng's personal assistant. Regarding the follow-up handling of this property, the legal procedures have been completed. If you two continue to harass, I will apply for a restraining order on behalf of Mr. Sheng. My parents were awed by Xu Wanwan's workplace, Elite Aura. They were used to throwing tantrums at home, but they feared decent people who abide by laws and rules the most. I was a little surprised to see her. Why did you come here? Young Master Lin said you're short of a careful helper who knows the law, so I volunteered to come over. Brother Sheng, you don't have to do all the dirty and tiring work yourself. Just leave it to me. I looked at Xu Wanwan. A warm feeling rose in my heart. At this time when everyone has turned against me, this girl who was originally just a tenant has become my strongest backing. Although I took back the house, Shalin hasn't disappeared completely. Taking advantage of the period of being released on bail pending trial, she actually managed to contact Xu Wanwan through various connections and asked her out. She thought Xu Wanwan was just a temporary worker I hired. She wanted to buy her over to break my defenses. From the inside, Xiaolin sat across the table. Even heavy makeup couldn't hide the haggard look in her eyes. She took a bank card out of her bag and gently pushed it in front of Xu Wanwan. Xiaolin lowered her voice, with greed flickering in her eyes. Wanwan, I'm begging you, as long as you help me get the original copy of the house purchase contract for me, the 500,000 yuan in this card will all be yours. Xu Wanwan took a graceful sip of coffee, put down the cup. A mocking smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. She looked at Jalin as if she was looking at a clown. Ms. Zia, you might have gotten one thing wrong. I'm not an employee of Mr. Sheng. I'm his business partner. What you just did, trying to trick me into destroying evidence. I've recorded the whole process. Xiaolin's face turned pale in an instant. She shot to her feet abruptly. You jerk. You jerk. How dare you trick me? Don't get fooled by his lousy, stinking money. He's nothing but a loser who's been to prison. I pushed the door open and walked in, looking at Xiaolin's embarrassed, flustered look. She used to be my younger brother's wife. I even thought about buying her a car and a house, but she chose the greediest, most vicious path possible. I stared at her. There was nothing but disappointment in my eyes. Your last remaining chance was completely destroyed by your own hands. Lawyer Zhang is already waiting downstairs. About your bribery and evidence forgery offenses, go explain them to the judge. Xiaolin collapsed into the chair. Her lips trembled, but no sound came out. Sunlight outside the window streamed into the private room, but it couldn't reach her dark, twisted heart. I turned to look at Xu Wanwan. She winked at me. That silent, tacit understanding hung quietly in the air. This battle between greed and betrayal had its outcome decided long ago, and the real reckoning has only just begun. After Xiaolin was taken away, my father, who had been quite healthy before, suddenly fell ill. He lay on the hospital bed, with a cold towel on his forehead. He kept muttering Sheng Tung's name nonstop. I knew this was their last trump card, to force me to drop the case using family guilt tripping. When I pushed the door and walked in, my mom was sitting by the bed wiping her tears. When she saw me, she didn't jump up and yell at me like usual. Instead, she shakily grabbed the hem of my clothes. Her eyes were full of pleading. Xiaolin, Your dad's heart can't take any more shocks. The doctor said he can't get provoked again. For the sake of our family falling apart completely, let your brother and Xiaolin off, okay? I pulled my clothes hem away from her. My voice was completely calm without any ripple of emotion. Mom, when I went to prison 3 years ago, my heart was broken too. Back then, who let me off for the sake of being family? My father on the bed suddenly started coughing violently. He pointed a trembling finger at me. He tried to say something but couldn't make a sound. I looked at him. I felt no anger in my heart, only a kind of exhaustion from seeing through all worldly hypocrisy. You ungrateful brat! Are you trying to force me to my death? Shenglun, the doctor said you only have high blood pressure. There's nothing seriously wrong with you. This little act might work on those reporters, but it doesn't work on me at all anymore. I walked out of the ward. My mom's desperate wails came from behind me. I didn't look back. The farce at the hospital didn't mess up my daily rhythm at all. I sat on the rocking chair on the terrace, looking at the calm lake in the distance. Xu Wanwan walked over holding 2 cups of freshly brewed coffee. She placed them gently on the small side table. Her movements were very natural, like we had been living this way for a very long time. During this period, she helped me handle a huge amount of legal documents and trivial social affairs, so I could pull myself out of that quagmire of messy family issues. Brother Sheng, young Master Lin has collected all complete evidence of the car crash that year. The fact that Sheng Teng got someone to take the blame for him is totally confirmed. The official verdict will be announced very soon. Let him go where he deserves to be. That's the responsibility he should have taken 3 years ago. Sheng Teng isn't having an easy time in the detention center. Without his parents shielding him from all troubles, and without Xiaolin bluffing and posturing for him, his spoiled, rotten personality since childhood will only make him suffer a lot in that place. Xu Wanwan hesitated for a moment. She looked at me with soft, gentle eyes. When all this is over, what are your plans? Still gonna be a landlord guarding your 10 villas. I looked off into the distance. A faint smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. This is just the beginning. The 3 years of blank time I lost. I will fill it back in more meaningful ways. Wanwan, would you be willing to keep helping me then? Xu Wanwan didn't say anything. She just smiled and nodded. Her eyes were sparkling with bright light. I knew all that dark, rotten past was peeling away little by little, and a new life was slowly rising, just like the morning sun over the lake surface. After the key evidence provided by Lin Jia was added to the case file, the covered-up car crash 3 years ago finally had its truth revealed to the public. Sheng Teng, for hit and run and inciting others to take the blame for him, was legally sentenced to 4 years of fixed-term imprisonment. The moment the verdict was announced, Sheng Teng collapsed completely in the defendant's seat. He always thought as long as his parents protected him, as long as Xiaolin makes a fuss, he can hide in my shadow forever. But he forgot. Even shadows have an end. My dad was in the public gallery, tears streaming down his old face, pounding his chest. Oh, my 4th son, my boy who graduated from a top university, his whole life is totally ruined. Shenglin, how can you, his older brother, be so cruel? I stood up slowly and looked at my dad calmly. Dad, when I served those 3 years in prison for him, you never called me cruel even once. Now he's just taking the responsibility he deserves, and you can't take it anymore. My mom was crying so hard she almost passed out, muttering curses under her breath, saying I'm the jinx of the family. I ignored her and walked straight out of the courtroom. The cold wind outside hit my face, but I felt more relaxed than I ever had before. Mr. Sheng Xiaolin is suspected of multiple crimes. Her sentence probably won't be shorter than Sheng Teng's. This property dispute is fully closed now. It's closed, but this is just the start of my new life. Lawyer Zhang, help me get in touch with young Master Lin. I want to launch that investment plan. Sure thing, Mr. Sheng. Young Master Lin, this is Lawyer Zhang. Mr. Sheng is looking for you. After sorting out the mess with my family, I didn't wallow in the satisfaction of revenge. Instead, I accepted Lin Cheng's invitation and officially entered the top business circle. I sold 5 villas as startup capital. I'll use this money to build my very own business empire. At the cocktail party, I wore a custom-made suit with a calm, confident aura. Xu Wanwan was my partner. She stunned everyone in her evening gown. She moved between all the industry bigwigs, chatting and laughing easily, introducing me to one heavyweight figure after another. Brother Sheng. That guy over there is the president of the Chamber of Commerce. He's really interested in the Old Town renovation project you proposed. He wants to talk to you in private. Great. Looks like our first move was a solid one. Just as we were about to walk over, an uninvited guest blocked our way. Just as we were about to walk over, an uninvited guest blocked our way. That was Mr. Zhao, a famous real estate tycoon in Jiangcheng. He swirled his wine glass, with a sarcastic, weird smile on his face. Mr. Sheng, you've become really famous lately. I heard you're having a huge fight with your family. Doing business values harmony above all. You even sued your own parents, who would dare to cooperate with you. You're very well informed, Mr. Zhao, but I run my business by rules and moral boundaries. People who have no boundaries honestly don't deserve to work with me. Mr. Zhao's face instantly turned extremely ugly. All the surrounding business elites glanced over, obviously reevaluating my strength and tactics. This little interruption didn't throw me off my rhythm at all. I know the road ahead is still long. Competitors like Mr. Zhao are just the tip of the iceberg. 3 days later, I received another invitation from Mr. Zhao. After hesitating for a long time, I still decided to go. 3 days later, I received another invitation from Mr. Zhao. After hesitating for a long time, I still decided to go. As soon as I walked in, I saw Mr. Zhao sitting on a leather sofa, twisting 2 jade balls in his hand, with that fake kind smile on his face, like he thinks he's got my weak spot. He thought using the scandal caused by my horrible parents would force me to back down on the Old Town renovation project. I sat across from him, drinking tea calmly. Xu Wanwan stood behind me and placed a thick document bag gently on the marble coffee table. The dull, heavy sound of the bag hitting the table felt like a warning. Mr. Zhao looked at me with a look of disdain on his face. He blew out a ring of smoke, his tone full of contempt. So, Mr. Sheng, what's your decision? The online harassment hasn't stopped yet, you know. If you transfer that plot of land to me, I promise all those reporters will be gone tomorrow. And you can still be the glorious, successful guy you are. I put down my teacup. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly and waved at Xu Wanwan. I put down my teacup. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly and waved at Xu Wanwan. You seem to have forgotten something, Mr. Zhao, where I spent the past 3 years. In that place, the most important thing I learned is to never let anyone threaten you. Xu Wanwan opened the documents. All of them were solid proof of Mr. Zhao's illegal activities over the years. Forced demolition, tax evasion, and several cases of bribery. I had Lin Cheng use the Lin family's intelligence network to collect and organize these overnight, Mr. Zhao. If we hand these things over to the economic investigation team, do you think your company can even last through this weekend? The smile on Mr. Zhao's face froze instantly. The jade massage balls in his hand clashed with a harsh scraping sound. Fine beads of sweat started seeping out of his forehead. His original arrogant attitude crumbled instantly in the face of evidence. Fine beads of sweat started seeping out of his forehead. His original arrogant attitude crumbled instantly in the face of evidence. Mr. Sheng, we're all businessmen here. There's no need for us to burn both our bridges, right? I stood up and straightened my suit, with a confident, winning smile on my lips. The fish will die, but my net won't break, Mr. Zhao. I don't want to be your enemy either. Otherwise, we'll have to meet in court. I walked out of the private room without looking back. Mr. Zhao behind me collapsed onto the sofa like a pile of mushy mud. The chaos in the business world has calmed down for now, but the tests life has in store for me have just begun. Half a year later, Shelin gave birth to a baby boy at the correctional hospital. Since both Shengteng and Xiaolin are serving their sentences, the Zhe family sees this child as a burden. After going around in circles, the swaddled baby was eventually sent to my study. Since both Shengteng and Xiaolin are serving their sentences, the Zhe family sees this child as a burden. After going around in circles, the swaddled baby was eventually sent to my study. I looked at the tiny, weak little life in the cradle, with a complicated expression in my eyes. What's his name? Shaolin didn't give him one. That section on the birth certificate is blank. Brother Sheng, have you really made up your mind? Adopting this child means your entire life will be haunted by the shadow of those two people. I'm worried about you. I looked at Xu Wanwan's gentle gaze and reached out my hand towards the little baby. My fingertip was grabbed tightly by the baby's little hand. He doesn't have a choice. But I do. Let's name him Shengnian, to commemorate the family bond I lost, and to remind me not to make the same mistake again. Let's name him Shengnian, to commemorate the family bond I lost, and to remind me not to make the same mistake again. I ignored all the criticism from the outside world and officially completed the adoption procedures. To give Nianir a quiet environment to grow up in, I slowed down the pace of my business expansion. And Xu Wanwan also turned down many high-paying jobs and became the gentlest guardian of this family. Time flies. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. The ginkgo tree in the villa yard turned yellow and green again. 3 years of seasons slipped quietly through my fingers. Nianir grew from a constantly crying baby into a little kid carrying a small school bag, trotting on his short little legs right behind me, yelling daddy like a cute little munchkin. Daddy, Aunt Wanwan said she's taking me to the zoo today. Hurry up. Okay. I looked at Nianir's happy face, and my heart skipped a beat. I picked Nianir up and poked his nose affectionately. Okay. I looked at Nianir's happy face, and my heart skipped a beat. I picked Nianir up and poked his nose affectionately. Okay, Daddy and Aunt Wanwan will take you there. The 3 years of calm were sometimes interrupted by harsh, unpleasant noises. My parents show up at the entrance of the villa area every few months. Their excuse is always about money. Shengtung needs money to bribe people inside, or Shaolin is sick and needs medical fees. This time, my dad was banging on the iron gate again. His voice was old but still mean and harsh. Shenglun, you're so generous raising that ungrateful bastard's kid. Your own little brother is suffering inside. You don't even bother to go see him. Do you even have a heart? I stood on the second-floor balcony, looking at the father I once respected so much. Looking down from above, my tone was as cold as ice. I stood on the second-floor balcony, looking at the father I once respected so much. Looking down from above, my tone was as cold as ice. The pension I give you is more than enough to live on. As for Shengtung, that's the punishment he deserves for his crimes. No one can take that for him. I closed the window, shutting all those curses out of my world. Nianir in my arms was giggling. He's my only comfort these past 3 years. Meanwhile, in the prison, Shengtung held a chipped metal tray, cowering in the corner. Those hands that once only held college acceptance letters from top universities are now covered in blisters from doing strenuous physical labor every day. Uncle Yu poured the leftover food from his plate into Shengtung's tray and snickered. Well, aren't you the genius who let his own brother take the blame for him? Why haven't you finished sweeping the floor yet today? And you're already thinking about eating. Shengtung was trembling violently. His eyes were filled with terror. Sorry, I'll go do it right now. Right now? Shengtung was trembling violently. His eyes were filled with terror. Sorry, I'll go do it right now. Right now? Shengtung put down the plate. He picked up the mop like a stray dog. He thought prison was just another place to sleep, but he never expected the rules here are way crueler than the outside world. He tried to drop my name in there, hoping to get protection as the god-level rich landlord's relative. My brother is Shenglin. He's super rich. As long as you take care of me. Before he could finish talking, he was cut off by a loud slap across the face. The other man looked at him with full contempt. It was the most direct disdain for someone who's selfish to the core. Your brother is Shenglin. He's the great benefactor of the richest man. A bastard like you who screws his own brother over deserves to say his name. On this very day, you have to kneel here the whole day. Shengtung collapsed onto the floor full of dirty water. He closed his eyes in despair. He finally felt the helplessness I had when I was in prison. But the difference is, I was there to protect my loved ones, while he's just paying for his sins. The news that Sheng Teng was suffering in prison quickly spread through all kinds of channels and reached my parents' ears. They didn't reflect on Sheng Teng's mistakes. Instead, they thought all this was my fault, for not using my connections to take care of my brother. My dad showed up in front of me again. He hadn't changed his clothes for ages, smelling like total decay. His voice was hoarse and furious. Get lost. Look at how your own brother is living in there, will you? His ribs got broken by others. And you're here living the high life. That's the path he chose himself. When I was going through all this hell 3 years ago, didn't you say the elder brother is like a father? And I should just suck it up. My mom jumped out from behind the flower bed. She wanted to pull the same trick again and lie on the ground to make a scene. But I didn't give her the chance. I directly signaled the security guards to come over. Everyone come look. The billionaire Sheng Lin is going to drive his own parents to death. He takes care of a bastard but ignores his own brother's life. I looked at them coldly. The last trace of emotion in my eyes was gone. That so-called bastard is the own child of Sheng Teng and Xiaolin. If you keep making trouble here, I'll send my lawyer to the prison to tell Sheng Teng how his parents treated his only child. My mom's voice stopped abruptly. She looked like an old hen whose neck was being choked. She stared at me blankly. They had no idea that Nianer is the child of Sheng Teng and Xiaolin. All of them froze on the spot. I curled my lips into a mocking smile. I turned around to go back to my room. But my dad stopped me. There was a hint of careful flattery and expectation in his tone. Xiaolin, can I see the kid, please? Xiaolin, can I see the kid, please? I walked back into the house without looking back. I'll never let them get close to Nianer. I don't trust them at all. Xu Wanwan was holding the already fast asleep Nianer at the entryway. Warm light was shining down on the two of them. That's the family I want to protect. After Xiaolin gave birth to Nianer in the detention hospital, due to interrogation during confinement and huge mental pressure, she developed serious chronic health issues. That once arrogant woman, who only cared about wearing gold and silver all day, could now only lie weakly on the hospital bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. Her hair was dry and yellow. Her cheeks were sunken. Due to long-term QI and blood deficiency, even getting up to drink water was extremely hard for her. The guards took care of her as per the rules, but that cold, institutional feeling made her loneliness multiply many times over. Wait, where's the kid? Where's my kid? Where did my mom send him? The nurse beside her didn't answer. She just changed her IV drip routinely. Xiaolin had no idea that my money-obsessed mom had already thrown the kid away as a burden. What's more, she had no idea that the brother she once insulted as an ex-con is now the only one that can save her kid. A line of turbid tears ran down Xiaolin's cheek. Her tone was full of unwillingness. Shenglin, are you laughing at me right now? I've ended up in this mess. Are you happy now? His regret isn't because he hurt other people, but because he lost the luxurious life he could have had. Tormented by this twisted mindset, his illness kept relapsing. The doctor said this condition would probably stay with him for life. Sunlight streamed through the iron bars, casting dappled shadows on the floor. Xiaolin closed her eyes. All that ran through her mind was the days she spent squandering in my fully paid-off apartment. But those days eventually became a dream she could never go back to. After my parents found out I adopted Nianer, they finally saw the situation clearly. They knew they couldn't count on Sheng Teng and Xiaolin anymore. If they completely offended me this time, they'd have to beg on the streets for the rest of their lives. So when the news of Xiaolin's serious illness came, they didn't dare to do what they used to, which was bring reporters over to make a scene. Instead, they put on a whole different act. My dad huddled on the edge of the couch with a hunched back, rubbing his hands nervously on his thighs. My mom sat beside him, wiping her tears nonstop, glancing at me every now and then to check my reaction. They were as humble as two kids who had done something wrong. Shaolin, Dad knows we were being stupid before, and we hurt your feelings. Now your brother's in prison, and Xiaolin got a chronic condition in the hospital. Our family really can only count on you now. That's right, Xiaolin. Mom regrets it every single day now for treating you so badly back then. Xiaolin's treatment is going to cost a lot of money. We were wondering if you could, for Nianer's sake, help her out a bit. I put down the report I was holding and looked at them coldly. This belated humility didn't give me any sense of satisfaction. It felt even more ironic to me instead. If I was still that penniless ex-con who just got released from prison, would they still talk to me in such a humble tone? Are you afraid I won't give you your pension? Or do you actually feel bad for Xiaolin? My dad's cheek twitched a little, and a flash of embarrassment crossed his face at being called out, but he quickly forced a smile again. How could you think that? You're our own son. Of course we want the whole family to get along well. If Xiaolin's condition can't be cured, we won't be able to explain it to Nianer when she grows up, right? Right at that moment, Shu Wanwan came downstairs holding Nianer in her arms. When Nianer saw this scene, she instinctively shrank back into Shu Wanwan's arms. Brother Sheng, it's time for Nianer to take a nap. As for Xiaolin's medical expenses, the lawyer said that if we go through legal procedures, we only need to pay a very small portion of it. When my mom heard the words legal procedures, she panicked immediately, but she didn't dare to yell out loud and could only look at me longingly. Her eyes were full of calculated anxiety. She lowered her voice. Xiaolin, don't listen to the lawyer. He's an outsider. We're your real family. Just think of it as doing a good deed and help Xiaolin, okay? Mom. Looking at the way they had to bow their heads just to survive, the last bit of warmth left in my heart slowly faded away. They didn't become better people. They just became weaker. And I was thinking about how this redemption performance should actually play out. Before I could figure out how to deal with Xiaolin, I got the news that due to her long-term psychological distortion and repeated torment from her chronic illness, she finally, on a freezing cold night, passed away alone in the prison hospital. She never got to see that child again before she died, and never got to wait for Sheng Tung to be released from prison either. Not long after, Sheng Tung was released after serving his sentence. 4 years in prison completely destroyed his self-esteem, but nurtured the inherent violence in his bones. When he walked out of the prison gate, his gray-haired parents had been waiting for a long time. They didn't reflect on Sheng Tung's crimes at all. Instead, they sold off the last of their family property back home, planning to support their most beloved youngest son. But Sheng Tung was no longer the polite, straight-A student they remembered from before. Sheng Tung kicked away the luggage bag his parents handed him, his gaze cold and vicious. You only brought this little money. You guys ate and drank well outside these past few years, and you're making me live in this shabby rental. Xiaotang Mom and Dad don't have much ability. All the money was spent on your and Linlin's treatment and bribes. Let's settle down first. I'll go find work at the construction site tomorrow. Mom will go work as a nanny for someone. We'll definitely be able to provide for you. Sheng Tung snorted coldly, looking at his parents' hunched backs. There wasn't a trace of gratitude in his eyes, only a sense of entitlement to take what he wanted. He learned to bully the weak and fear the strong in prison, and now, the easiest targets in the whole world are his biological parents. Hurry up! And don't even mention that guy Sheng Lin in front of me. Once I get back on my feet, I'll make him spit out everything he owes me sooner or later. Mom and Dad exchanged a glance, and followed behind submissively. They thought they had found someone to rely on again. Little did they know, the person they brought home with their own hands was a bottomless pit that could never be filled. Sheng Tung was diagnosed with a terminal illness not long after he was released from prison. The pain of the illness made him even more crazy. He lay in bed every day, beating and kicking his parents who just came back from hard work. He would yell and curse at the slightest dissatisfaction. Why is this medicine so bitter? Are you trying to poison me to save money? Get out and earn money? I want meat. I want booze. Xiaotang Mom worked 12 hours today. We really have no money left. What about your brother? Don't even mention him. He blocked us a long time ago. This is our fate. The fate we chose ourselves. Totally different from the hellish life over there. My life is entering a period of happiness I've never had before. After taking back all the properties, I handed my business over to a professional team to manage and focused more energy on my family. Shu Wanwan and I also got our marriage license on a lovely sunny day with gentle breezes. One day, Nianer ran over holding a full-mark test paper. Mommy Wanwan. Ha ha ha! Daddy Mommy Wanwan. Look, I got first place. Wanwan gently wiped the sweat off Nianer's forehead and looked at me expectantly. Brother Sheng, let's take Nianer to the beach for vacation tomorrow. He deserves to relax a little. I took the test paper and picked Nianer up. My eyes were full of happiness and fondness as I said, okay. Anything you say. As long as our whole family is together. Anywhere is great. Sometimes I also hear news about that family from my lawyer. I heard Sheng Tung was wailing in pain from his illness. I heard his parents were full of regret from constant hard work. But I don't care about that anymore. Sunlight spilled over the lawn of the villa. Nianer's laughter was clear and pleasant. I held Shu Wanwan's hand, feeling the warmth in my palm. Only people who have experienced darkness know best to cherish the light in front of them. This life is still very long, and our happiness has only just begun.